Shit. That's some nasty words. Ain't nobody trying to see this girl sucking nobody's dick. That is just so crazy. Where did Kenya...
Hey y'all, it's me Tony and I'm back with a new video. I wanted to review the past episode of Real Housewives of Atlanta, and you guys know this is the big showdown between Britt and Kenya, so let's get into it. And before I dive in, please like this video and subscribe. That's a free way to help me grow the channel, so that way I can keep dropping content for you all. So our first opening scene, we're at Shamia's house. Shamia's invited over Britt and Angela, and me personally, Shamia, you have a nice home, a beautiful family. Don't be inviting just anybody over. Please don't. You got to protect your energy in your house. I'm big on that. But also, you don't want all these girls around your man. We all know your man is loaded and you got this huge mansion. Please don't let these girls come over. But anyway, let me get back to the point. So basically, they're over. They're all talking about what happened last night at the restaurant, The Vault. Remember, the ladies had that dinner at The Vault, and that's when things got aligned, and Britt was mentioning the whole pow-pow. Well, they're talking about that, and Britt explains herself. She's saying that the reason it got to that level is because she was continuously cut off by Kenya, and she felt very disrespected. Now, the whole question came up with Kenya being asked, can you be respectful towards Britt? Angela confesses that she's the one who wrote the question, and that threw me off guard. I didn't know Angela was like that. But this is the second time we're seeing Angela kind of, take a side or something when it comes to a friendship. But anywho, Britt is explaining that, she's really not that type of person, but that side comes out when she becomes provoked. Now, me personally, I feel like there's no way that you can rationalize yourself mentioning a pow-pow. Even if Kenya was, being herself and, being witty and combative verbally, that still doesn't give you a right to mention a pow-pow. But, that shouldn't provoke you to that degree. But the girls are saying, you have to definitely clarify with Kenya what you meant. And Britt's reassuring them, like, yeah, I'm going to apologize. And I'm going to let her know, like, I would never want to harm her. That's just not who I am. I'm actually a sweet person. Well, we'll see about that. We'll see, Britt. But Shamia asked Angela, did she speak to Charles about the rumors that Porsha mentioned? Well, she didn't even mention the rumors, but she mentioned she heard some rumors. And Angela's like, no, my husband is a celebrity. I hear stuff all the time. It's not really a big deal. And I forgot to mention, but Britt has this thing where she's like, oh, well, if anyone mentions my man, then they're getting slapped. And I'm like, girl, please be quiet because you are already on the edge for all this violence talk. Please don't say nothing else about getting violent. But the next scene, Kenya, Kelly, and Porsha are at Kenya's beautiful hair spa, and they're picking out models for Kenya's hair event. They're choosing the models, and they pick some. They're having fun. Somehow they get on topic about what happened last night at the Vault. Remember that whole big debacle with Britt and Kenya? And Kenya's like, Britt was out of line, and she's going to just do a background check on Britt. And Kelly's like, oh, well, she's really not that type of person. Britt's actually very sweet, and Kenya is not going for it. She's like, nope, I'm not with that gaslighting stuff. I'm not having it. She was out of line, and I will be doing my due diligence, and I'm going to do a research on her and find out some stuff about her. And Porsha's like, well, I think you just need to go ahead and uninvite her. And clearly, Porsha was right, because we all know things are going to get very ugly soon. So next up, we have Angela and her daughter, Amari. Apparently, Amari's dad passed away when she was super young, so that made Angela and her daughter very close. But Amari is expressing that, I thought my grandma was going to show up. Apparently, they were going to have a discussion because Angela's mom went off on Amari. Apparently, Amari was going to borrow a car that Angela bought for her mom. And when Amari tried to borrow the car, they, verbally attacked her. I mean, they as in Angela's sister, Amari's aunt, and Amari's grandmother, Angela's mother, tried to gang up on her, and they wanted money from her. And she's like, Mom, I'm tired of you paying for these people like you bought your mom a house, that you buy them vehicles, and they treat me so horribly. Like, you need to stop financing their life. So Angela's like, you know what? I'm not going to let anyone mistreat you, and they're not going to get away with it. Angela also shares that her mother has bipolar disorder and that she stopped taking her meds for it, but, she feels like she's doing better. But she must not be doing better because, y'all are just saying that she's over here verbally sparring with your daughter. But anywho, it makes me understand now why Angela has such tough skin. Like, did you guys see how easily she got over the issue with Shamia, and how it really didn't bother her too much when Shamia was making fun of her nose? And, we all know her husband is super spicy. So, I mean, it makes sense that Angela can put up with so much. And she grew up with a parent with a whole a personality disorder. But anywho, the daughter is crying because Angela confronts her about never being told that she was married. Apparently, Amari had been married for like 4 to 5 months, and Angela didn't even know. And to be honest, this was a little bit of gaslighting because the daughter starts crying. She's like, I don't want to talk about this. And Angela just goes along with it. She's like, okay, we'll have to talk about it. It's okay. But don't worry, I'm not going to let anyone mistreat you. And I'm like, girl, like, how did that just get on over? Like, I want to see more about Angela and her family because there's definitely more issues going on there. Right after that, we have Porsha and Britt meeting up for lunch, and Porsha is being detective. She's asking Britt about the other night, and Britt is explaining like, hey, I felt like Kenya was rude to me, but Portia's not agreeing with her. She's like, well, everyone said that Kenya didn't do anything to you, and you kind of like misunderstood everything. But Britt is like adamant. She's like, no, Kenya was coming for me. She was being dismissive, and she was acting very like different with me. And me personally, unless there's more that we didn't see, I'm starting to think that Britt is very delusional. I don't think Kenya was looking for you. I just don't feel that. And by no means am I like team twirl or anything like that. But I don't think Kenya did anything to Britt to warrant the way Britt went off. But anywho, Porsha explains to Brent why the pow pow comment was wrong. She's like, what if I said that to Drew after we had our issue at Shamia's house? If I'm just saying like, oh, I have pow pows and stuff, everyone's going to know who I'm talking about. Who's the last person I got into an argument with? Obviously, they're going to think it's geared towards her. And if I said that, I would be wrong, right? And Britt is taking accountability. She's like, yeah, I was wrong, and I'm going to own up to it, and I'm going to scream it all day like I was wrong, but I would never want to harm her. So next up, we have Charles cooking for Angela. Charles loves to cook. He's like a grumpy man, but at least he can cook. I know that's right, Angela. That way you don't have to worry about cooking for no angry, cranky man. But Angela tells Charles that Porsha was saying that she heard some stuff about him, and she's asking, like, do you know what that's all about? And Charles is like, well, who is Porsha? Is she the best? Y'all know Charles does not play, okay? But Charles is just in that kitchen minding his business. He could care less. And she's like, trying to tell Charles about some issues that she's having in her own personal life and family. And Charles isn't here for it. He doesn't get along with her mom, so he's really not trying to listen. And honestly, I'm starting to think that Angela lacks boundaries, because why does your mom think it's okay to disrespect your daughter? Why is it that she's getting into it with your husband? Like, do you have a hard time setting boundaries? Are you going to be like another Candy and Mama Joyce? I don't know, but let's find out. All right, guys, so we're finally here at the Kenya Moore hair spa, okay, where everything goes down and no hair is getting done, but the drama is going down. But Kenya is there, and she looks beautiful. The spa is beautiful. Everything just looked perfect, right? Well, Angela comes, and Angela is giving body, guys. Like, me personally, I think Angela looks really good. I think her body is on point. To me, I think she's always serving body. But anywho, Kenya thanks Angela for reaching out. She's like, you're the only lady who reached out to me after that whole issue at the ball. And we see like a screenshot of Angela just reaching out to Kenya and expressing her sorrows for Kenya feeling unsafe and she didn't agree with what happened. Now, to me, that kind of showed like a slight flip-flopper to Angela, because you were just telling Britt, like, oh, yeah, I understood where you're coming from with Kenya. And now you're telling Kenya, oh, well, I definitely, I'm on your side. But you should have told Britt that she was wrong, in my opinion. But who knows? Maybe she did, but we just didn't see it with editing. Now, anywho, Cynthia is asking Porsha, we're still at the spot, guys. Cynthia is asking Porsha, like, hey, what happened at the ball? Because, I wasn't there. And Porsha is just relaying, like, everything that happened. She's going down talking about what happened at the ball. And we also see another clip where Britt and Kelly are riding in a Sprinter. It's like a Mercedes-Benz Sprinter. I don't know if Kelly owns it, but it has like her name and stuff on the screen. I'm like, oh, Kelly, like you are really giving us like, you're really that girl. Like, I love that for you. But anywho, production is doing their thing because they're literally filming every single thing. They're not skipping a beat. We are not missing an ounce of anything. So shout out to production. Y'all are definitely making up for the lackluster years y'all had before. But anywho, Kelly's just reassuring Britt, like, hey, you coming here for her opening and on a good note and you being apologetic and flowers, like, I'm pretty sure that'll make Kenya feel pretty good. Now, Kelly, you're a sweet girl. I can tell that you really are, and you're nice. But at the same time, when Britt brought up the whole pow pow thing, most people wouldn't be so forgiving, especially so soon afterwards, okay? So I think you're a little bit delusional for thinking that it was gonna work out. But Britt is like, yeah, I'm wrong and I have no problem admitting I was wrong, and I really hope she'll accept my apology and my flowers, and we already know this isn't gonna go well. But Britt comes in there and she shows the ladies that she came in with like a big bouquet of flowers and everything. And Shami and Porsha are like, she may not be ready to receive that apology. And the ladies already know how Kenya is, okay? Everyone's dealt with Kenya before. And Britt is about to find out. So Drew comes in late, and I know Porsha was saying that Drew wants to be her, but now I'm starting to think so, because why are you late? That's Porsha's thing. I'm just joking, guys. I'm literally just joking. But anywho, Drew tries to speak to Porsha, and Portia's like, oh, yeah. And Drew's like, hey, I don't bite. Like, you can give me a hug. I'm not going to bite you. And Porsha is so crazy. She's like, oh, well, not from the front, huh? And I'm like, oh, Lord, here we go, Porsha and this whole drama. And Drew's like, well, let's just cut the BS. Like, I'm tired of things being awkward and fake and weird. We don't have to ignore each other. But let's just get to the bottom of this and how you feel. Like, why would I try to mess with your baby daddy? Everyone knows I'm going through a divorce. I don't want your, baby daddy. You can keep his hot dog. And Portia's like, oh, did you think that was cute? Porsha, one thing about Porsha, good or bad, she's good at ignoring people. She's so good at being kind of like condescending, and she kind of reminds me of Kenya. Kenya's good at that too, but Porsha is like dismissing Drew, and she's like, oh, well, what is the problem? Like, I want you to explain yourself. And Portia's in her confessional. She's like, oh, well, the reason why I didn't want to talk to Drew is because I was sick. Porsha, if you went to that event and you were sick, why couldn't Drew talk to you right then and there? You were doing everything else. Just admit you didn't want to talk to Drew. Then Porsha says, oh, well, I found out other things Drew had been doing. And the production shows where, someone from Porsha's team said that Dennis and her were reaching out because they wanted some music connections. And I'm like, okay, am I missing something here? Like, I'm really trying to understand both sides. I really am. But I still don't see what the big deal is. Like, do you not want her to work with your baby daddy? Is that it? Or is it the filming? Which one is that? I don't get it. It seems like Porsha is reaching for an issue with Drew at this point. And Drew's like, well, I don't get it. And Porsha's like, oh, well, don't use that sing voice with me because I can make you ring. And I'm like, that one flew over my head too, Porsha. I'm feeling like you. Like, I think I'm having a slow one because I didn't understand that. What do you mean you can make her ring? Like, what does that have to do with Drew having a singing? I don't know. I didn't really understand that. But Porsha storms off from Drew. She's like, I'm not having it. Like, you're just full of lies and I don't want to talk. And it's just like, okay, Porsha, I think you just needed this moment with Drew, I guess. So Britt sees Kenya and she decides to walk up to her with the big bouquet of flowers in her apology. And Kenya is doing what she does, honey. She's twirling right past Brit. She is not trying to hear her. And it's honestly, I don't think Kenya's wrong. Like, I think I would ignore her as well. To be honest, she wouldn't even be allowed in my spot if I was Kenya. So, Brit, it is what it is. But Brit accepts her L. She's not getting feisty with Kenya. She's not trying to argue or turn up. She's like, I understand. Hopefully, you'll look at my card. I'll just put the flowers down here. And then she tells everyone bye. She's like, I'm going to go. And it is what it is, And I do like that Brit was more humble in this moment and took her L. She knew she was wrong for that comment. But Brit walks out and Kenya's like, I need everyone's attention. But this is before Brit even walks out. Kenya is trying to get everyone's attention, but Brit just leaves anyway. And Kenya's like, I want to give a speech and, thank everyone for coming. And somehow this speech turns into a rant. Kenya's like, Brit tried to comfort me and Brit is trying to take food out of my daughter's mouth. And I'm like, hold on, Kenya, like food out of your daughter's mouth? Doesn't that sound familiar, you guys? Do y'all remember when Kenya was pissed at Tanya in season 12? And Tanya brought a wig just because Kenya had been speaking on a relationship or whatever Tanya was in. And Kenya accused Tanya of taking food out of her daughter's mouth by bringing a wig. And then she even brought a cookie lady to confront Tanya. Do you guys remember that? Kenya, please stop using that line. Leave poor baby Brooklyn out of this, okay? No one is trying to take food out of Brooklyn's mouth. Please stop. You at this point, you're taking food out of your own baby's mouth, okay? Calm down. Stop using baby Brooklyn as an excuse for everything, okay, Kenya? But anywho, Kenya begins pulling out posters, y'all. She's saying Brit is a video hole, okay? I'm saying hole, but y'all know what I mean. She's saying Brit is a whole video vixen hole, okay? Like, she's been in all the music videos. She's putting up posters of Brit, showing her before and after photos when she got her face done. And then the camera kind of pans to Kelly and Porsha, and they're like, oh, Lord, like, this is going far. And I know they probably were feeling away because they're like, ooh, like, I mean, if you got fillers done and you've gotten work done to yourself, your face and your body, I'm pretty sure, you would be kind of worried too. Like, let me stay out of Kenya's list because she's going to go after you next with your looks. But anywho, Kenya's going on and on. She's saying that she's an insurance fraud. You know what? And then to top it off, she holds up that huge poster of Brit Edie sucking you know what. And that was crazy. Everyone is just gagged, literally, like they're just shocked. People are disgusted. People are walking out, leaving, and no one is really here for that. Seriously, like Shamia tries to stop her. She's like, Kenya, that's a little bit too far. And Kenya turns up on Shamia. She's like, no, B.I., you know what? She called Shamia a beach. You know what I'm trying to say. She's like, no, B, that girl threatened me. So, no, don't tell me that's too far. And I'm like, oh, Lord, like, Kenya is pissed. And it's crazy because this whole season, I thought Kenya looked beautiful. She looked happy. She looked light. But it was literally this episode where Kenya just didn't even look beautiful anymore to me. I'm sorry. She's a beautiful woman, but that personality just showed. It showed on her face in that moment. Kenya didn't give me the vibe of someone who, I'm scared, let me protect myself from being around this person. It seemed like you were pissed and you decided at that moment to ruin your own hair spa opening on camera to expose this woman because you wanted to get revenge. And that was not smart, okay? Well, Porsha's like, I'm leaving. I don't want to be a part of this. Shamia leaves. Everyone's pretty much leaving. Cynthia is like, I love you, but I feel like you're bigger than this. And Kenya's like, yeah, well, I'm not going to let people, treat me this way. And basically, the scene just ends out with people leaving. Porsha's like, unmic me. I don't want nothing to do with this in this event. And guys, luckily, Britt wasn't literally in the room anymore when Kenya pulled out that poster. But we have to admit, Britt was wrong, 100%. She should have never even been filming anymore, in my opinion. But people are saying when she spoke about the pow pow, she was saying in reference to being in a rough area. She wasn't talking about just Kenya. She was saying in general, I have my protection. Now, I think Britt was kind of saying it for both. I think she was saying it for the area and Kenya. But I also feel like Kenya should have been smart and she should have pulled a Dr. Greg from Married to Medicine. She should have filed a report and made sure she wouldn't be filming with Britt anymore. And Britt should have never been invited to her salon. She should have gotten a restraining order if that's the case. But you guys let me know what y'all think in the comments. Like this video, subscribe, and comment. I will give you my opinion back if you comment, okay? So stay tuned, guys. I will be dropping my Married to Medicine video next. We're going to review that last part 3, guys, okay? Well, y'all take care and be safe. Bye.